What's up, guys? Today we're diving into a gritty Nigerian crime thriller called Hounds and Jackals by Ifeoluwa Owade. In this story, we'll be following Detective Reuben Abiola through the streets of Abuja as he hunts down a brutal serial killer. If you haven't heard or seen a crime comic or graphic novel from Africa or Nigeria before, you're in luck today. What makes this graphic novel stand out is how it moves away from the usual supernatural and superhero tropes common in the African comic space, and it delivers a grounded, high stakes mystery that will keep you guessing till the end. Hounds and Jackal is a five-part series, and today I'll be breaking down the first two episodes. If you want to give the graphic novel a full read, I'll be linking where to get that in the description. And now, let's get into today's story. The story opens in the heart of Abuja in Yabo Estate on a Thursday evening. This is the kind of place where money usually buys you peace. But tonight, it's a nightmare in the neighborhood. Police lights bathe the houses and streets in a rhythmic red and blue. Then a car pulls up. A man steps out and approaches the scene. He's stopped by a rookie officer who doesn't recognize him. The other officer who recognizes this man standing before them allows him access into the scene. This man is Reuben Abiola. To the rank and file officers, he's not just a special investigator, he's a walking myth. The man no criminal has ever outsmarted. And in this business, when a legend shows up at your crime scene, it means it's not just a regular crime scene. Inside the victim's residence, the forensic team is already getting to work, collecting evidence, marking the scene, and taking photographs. Ruben enters the room and we're introduced to Detective Wande already on site. He wants to call Ruben SP, but Abiola isn't here for titles. He's here for the truth. Ruben asks Wande about the scene. Wande briefs him. Based on the IDs found, the man is Mr. Taiwo Yusuf, age 45, his wife Salma, age 39. At first glance, it looks like robbery gone wrong. Salma has a fatal stab wound to the abdomen. Taiwo, no external wounds, just blood from the mouth. Massive internal bleeding, though they won't know for certain until the medical examiner do their thing. Monday thinks the case is just going to end up as a typical robbery case, but it couldn't be more wrong. With no time to waste, Abiola asks for gloves and is ready to get to work. The bodies don't have to get to the medical examiner. He starts picking the scene apart with surgical precision. He has already caught onto the symbology of the scene. He believes the crime scene is too symbolic to be regarded as just a regular robbery case. Then he analyzed the scene. No forced entry, no struggle. The killer was either a guest or a ghost. He points at the systemic execution. Both victims were tranquilized and stripped before being posed. The killer didn't just stab Mr. Taiwo, he performed a surgery. He sawed off one of the man's ribs and used that same bone to kill the wife. Then he stitched the husband back up. And the final touch, the victim's essentials are covered by leaves. And these aren't just any leaves, they are fig leaves. Ruben stares at Detective Wande. The weight of the symbolism finally hits. This isn't just a murder, it's a narrative, a twisted reenactment of the book of Genesis, the creation of woman from the rib of man, the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden. One day asks if some wicked bastard killed them just to tell a Sunday school story. But Ruben's expression tells us this is much bigger than a single crime. Wande admits he's never seen anything like this before. Ruben's response are just too haunting words. He has seen this before. Reuben then talks about his first encounter with a similar crime. In his words, this encounter was about 20 something years ago. He was called to a crime scene involving a husband and a wife. His description of what had led to the incident is a gruesome recount. The husband had found out the wife was cheating, and his ideology of crime and punishment was to do the unthinkable. On the night of their anniversary, he tore their 1-year-old daughter into pieces and made a meal from her meat. Unbeknownst to the wife, that was what he served them both for dinner. It killed her, literally. That was the poetic justice for him. Reuben guessed. Detective Wande is shocked by Reuben's recount of his encounter with this similar case. He asks if the husband went to jail. Reuben answers by filling in the remaining details of the crime. The wife was poisoned from the meal served by the husband, and he also had the same meal. He died in the room before they could get him out, talk less of putting him in jail. Wande offers Reuben a cigarette, but he declines as he is recovering from an addiction. Reuben adds that they might not have realized it yet, but they've got a serious problem on their hands with this new case. The dinner murder of the husband and wife happened several years ago, and he believes it doesn't connect with this new one, though he thinks something else does. Reuben says he has been following two cases over the past 6 months. The first one occurred in Roko, where a woman was killed and dressed by the killer in some royal attire and posed in the center of the room. The second was on a farm in Tudunwada, where a farmer was surgically attached to a dead horse. He died just minutes before the police got there. He had been heavily mutilated and left to struggle for almost a day before his heart gave out. Reuben believes these murders are connected and are narratives driven, which can only mean one thing: they have a serial killer on the loose. Episode 2 opens on a bright morning in Abuja. We are introduced to a new but unnamed young boy as he preps for school and leaves a note for his aged mother that he's off to school. On the next page, we shift back to the police HQ in Dawaki, Abuja, 24 hours earlier. Detective Wande is briefing his team and updating them also about the involvement of Reuben to help crack the new case, which is in connection with his two previous murder cases. Reuben has called in every favor to pull files that have been gathering dust for 6 months. The ones where leads dried up and suspects vanished into thin air. Some of the younger officers find it funny that one day is joking about digging through archives, papers being sold to Akara sellers on the streets. But Reuben isn't laughing. He knows a cold case is just a killer who hasn't been caught yet. Reuben takes charge of the room. He lays out the pattern and it is chilling. He goes over the nature of the killings, pointing to the fact that the methods of the murders are different. But what points to it being the work of a serial killer is the story, the theme, and the soul of the murders. Victim 1 is a 27-year-old woman found in Roko, paralyzed with a rare mycotoxin and suffered a cervical dislocation while fully conscious. Dressed in a royal attire that didn't belong to her, she is supposed to look aesthetically pleasing in the moment of her death. Victim 2 is a 45-year-old farmer in Tudunwada, surgically attached to a dead horse using sutures and industrial adhesives. Still alive while the reconstruction was ongoing, he struggled for hours in the barn until his heart finally gave out. And the last victim, the Yusuf couple, same pattern: mycotoxin, paralysis, and a surgical theme, and turned a living room into a sacrificial altar. The room is skeptical. 3 different methods, 3 different locations. But Reuben isn't looking at the methods, he's looking at the soul of the murders. He pulls up the calling card. This killer isn't just a murderer, he's an art lover. He's meticulously recreating the most expensive Nigerian paintings in history, using humans as his canvas. The woman in royal attire, that's Anything by Josiah Adelowo. The farmer and the horse, that's Equestrian Energy by Chidiadi Ekweme. The couple in the living room, that's Eve and Adam by Khadija Monsurat. In the shadows of the room, the doubt is palpable. A sergeant whispers to Wande, questioning Reuben's age, his history of substance abuse. Is this the brilliance of a master detective, or the paranoia of a man who's been in the darkness for too long? Wande defends his mentor, but even his hope in Reuben is not as strong this time. Reuben doesn't care about the whispers in the room. He's looking at the math. A medical professional, an art lover, a calculated ghost. This killer doesn't make mistakes, he makes statements. These paintings are part of a specific list. The killer has a roadmap and is not finished. Reuben believes somewhere out there, the next masterpiece is already being chosen and the next victim is already in the Jackal site. We then shift back to the young boy in a classroom attending his lecture. We catch up to him and his friend discussing after their class. We get to find out the boy's name is Michael. His two friends find the art lecture boring, but Michael doesn't think they're bad as they say. They then shift their conversation to one of their mates, Gabriel, caught in his act of mischief, and probability of Gabriel getting expelled from the school is even higher if he keeps up his act. After school, Michael can be seen waiting for a man who doesn't show up. He eventually heads home after waiting around long enough. We shift to 16 hours earlier. Reuben and Wande are paying a healthcare facility a visit. They're looking for a doctor, Ubong Ekpeyong. The nurse at the reception asks if they have an appointment, but Wande says it's a police business and they don't need an appointment. The nurse says he caught a glimpse of the doctor minutes ago. Before she can finish her sentence, Reuben, ever the sharp-eyed veteran, spots the doctor trying to slip away. A chase ensues. The doctor sprints through the hospital stairways with Wande hot on his heels. Though Wande is left winded and gasping for air, Reuben manages to trip the doctor, ending the pursuit. He tells Wande to cuff the doctor and the page comes to an end. We cut back to Michael, who has now arrived at home to find his aged mother preparing dinner. He's welcomed by his mother, but he's worried about her making the preparations. He says he will take over from her even though she insists on him getting some rest. His mother says some words of prayer for him being a kind-hearted and caring child. We pick up inside the interrogation room where Reuben and Wande are grilling the Dr. Ubong. Reuben isn't buying the scared doctor act for a second. He lays out the cold hard facts. The murders were strategic and surgical. We're talking about the use of mycotoxin as a paralyzing agent, a recurring theme in every single one of these twisted killings. Reuben specifically points to the Yusuf couple. Mr. Yusuf's rib was surgically removed, the wound sutured back in place, and that the same rib was used to execute his wife. There was no sign of a break-in because as the Yusuf's doctor treating them for cardiomyopathy, Ekpeyong already had an invitation. But Ekpeyong isn't cracking just yet. He claims he was at the Yusuf residence for a standard 30 minutes appointment and left right after. He even got receipts, literally. He claims his bank records will show a credit alert from the consult the moment he finished, and his assistant can vouch for his whereabouts. He tells Reuben straight up, he didn't kill anyone. He was there to do his job, and as soon as he was done, he was out of there. As the interrogation heats up, Dr. Ubong throws a chilling warning back at the investigators. He insists they were wasting their time with him, which implies one terrifying thing. While they are sitting in this room arguing over bank records, the real killer is out there, possibly preparing their next masterpiece. We catch up to the present where Michael has taken over the meal preparation from his mother. They both hear a knock on the door. Michael asks if they were expecting anyone. His mother says they aren't. Michael heads for the door and opens it. He's left in shock by who is at the door this time of the day. Just like that, the episode 2 of Hounds and Jackals comes to an end. We're left to wonder who is at Michael's door by this time of the day and who he was expecting that never came. If you want to give this graphic novel a full read, there'll be links in the video description where you can get them. Thanks for staying to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.